Today I'll be talking about the Keychron Q1 Pro. It actually announced just this morning and the Kickstarter is now live, and I'll link that down below. But really, what's the difference between the Q1 and the Q1 Pro? Your guess is as good as mine, really. Well, I'm gonna open it up and I'm gonna see how they've improved it or they haven't. I don't know, I didn't even know they were coming out with this thing, but here I am, so I really hope it's cool. I've got the Keychron Q1 Pro wireless mechanical keyboard, so it's wireless instead of wired. I guess it could be both. It's hot swappable RGB backlight red switch knob version with KSA keycaps, and this is black. Those are the specs. To the table. Well, let's open it up. Thick manual. I feel like right now we've all seen enough Keychron keyboards to know that we don't really need the manual unless you want to do stuff like the secondary layers, connecting to Bluetooth, using via backlight stuff. Okay, the manual is actually important, so make sure we use the manual. This is always important. Never ever let your switch pins be bent. Sometimes it happens to me, but you just have to straighten it up before putting it back in. All the same parts as other Keychron keyboards. A USB-C to USB-C cable. They usually have an adapter, so all we get is a USB-C to USB-C cable without the adapter that turns one side into a USB-A. So if your PC doesn't have USB-C, you're sorta effed, I suppose. We've got the Allen wrench, the screwdriver, extra screws, extra feet, and extra gaskets. Windows keycaps instead of Mac. Keycap puller, which is great, and the dreaded switch puller, which is just not great. Why do people still make these? I thought they did better than this. And we also get the quick start guide. So the only issue I see so far is the USB-C cable thing. If you don't have an adapter, that's too bad. I prefer to keep the USB-C slots on my computer for something that requires a lot of data transfer, and this ain't it. Here's the keyboard. I have the black version with red switches. Full black back. Whoa. Okay, so on the top left, we've got the Bluetooth off and cable, and then we've got the Windows Mac switch, and their slider is much better than I remember. So that's a nice quality improvement. There's a USB-C port, and then what is this? This is probably how they get their Bluetooth to go through the aluminum case, which is a problem that they couldn't solve before, and that's why the Q1 doesn't have any Bluetooth. So case design actually looks exactly the same so far. Maybe the front is a little bit lower. Rubber feet is the exact same. I like the gold screws on the black case. That looks good. That looks really good. I also have the knob, which is cool, and these are the KSA keycaps, which to me feel a lot like MT3. Let's take a look. I mean, that looks like MT3. MT3. Okay, either I'm losing it or I think KSA is very similar to MT3 profile, so I'm just going to compare them side by side and we'll see if that's not actually MT3. That's close. Not quite, but close. At closer inspection, they are a little bit different. MT3 tends to be a little bit higher and has more curvature at the tops of the keycaps, but to an unknowing eye, they are very, very, very similar. But I think KSA is slightly, probably more comfortable for someone who isn't used to using MT3 or SA profile. And maybe that's a good thing. I sort of like their new design. It looks nice. Now that we've unboxed it, let's talk about it. This keyboard is out right now on Kickstarter, and for the bare bones kit without the keycaps or the switches, you're looking at $174 US. With everything built as you see here, switches and keycaps, it is $194, and it is in pre-order, so you won't get it right away. You have to wait a little bit, but it is pretty nice. I feel like the original Q1 had better stabilizers, and it could be the keycaps are adding a little bit of a rattle to the spacebar. But with some tuning and some more lubricating, and maybe you're replacing the stabilizers to your liking, You can get this to sound pretty dang nice depending on what you want in your keyboard. The hot swap sockets are south facing, so you could put in cherry profile keycaps if that's what you want, and you can replace these switches as well. I'm gonna test a few other switches that I have in this keyboard and do a sound comparison with these keycaps. I think the keycaps have a big effect on the way that it sounds. It's very different than the other Keychron keyboards. Definitely an upgrade above the normal Q1. I've got to try the Bluetooth, and my PC doesn't have Bluetooth, so I'm gonna attach it to my iPad. Yeah. Here's my jar of switches that I own now. There's not very many. They're mostly cherry. Let's try it out anyways. I've got Cherry MX Blue, Cherry MX Black, a Novel Keys Cream, Keychron Ink Blacks V2, a Cherry MX Silent Red, a Cherry MX Brown, Cherry MX Silver, and a Duroc L series. And I'll link everything down below if you want to try it out, and to this Kickstarter page as well to replace some switches. These are the Keychron Pro Red switches. So another really awesome feature about the Q1 Pro is that it comes with a polycarbonate plate. You don't have to replace your aluminum plate and buy a PC one separately. It just comes with it. So if you're into a lighter and more flexible, bouncier typing style, this could be the keyboard for you. And you don't have to do that many modifications either. Keychron Red, MX Brown, Silent Red, Duroc Linear, NK Cream, Keychron Ink Black V2, MX Silver, MX Blue, MX Black. Tell me which one is your favorite, and I'll list them down below for you to decide. Mine is Duroc Linear and NK Cream. My least favorite is the Keychron Ink Black V2 and MX Blue. Everything else is okay. Silent is silent. Ew. Where's the flux? So the Keychron Reds are pre-lubed, and one of the most annoying things for me for pre-lube switches that a lot of companies do is that when you touch the stems or you hold it, you feel this slick feeling that you know it's pre-lubed, but why is the lube moving to the part of the stem that touches the keycap? And if you really closely against certain light, you can see the lube just up on the side of that stem there. Now my fingers feel sort of icky. I know it's touched lube. Compared to like Krytox 205G0, this lube tends to be on the thinner side and it just feels so slick, but it's nice because it doesn't have that gunky over lubed feeling. So it does sound pre-lubed, and there's no watery bubble sound at the end there that happens to some pre-lube switches, like the Keychron North Pole switches I used in a video the other day. That had a thick bubble sound at the bottom. Time to plug it in. Excuse the loud humming sound, that is my computer, but we gotta see that RGB. We just have to, because we're gamers. I mean, you are. I don't know if I am, but you are. Gamer. Okay, so let's look at the Q1 Pro Kickstarter, and we're gonna compare it to other keyboards out right now to see if it's worth buying or not. Here we are at the Q1 Pro Kickstarter page, and dang, it's already hit its goal with over 100 backers with 30 days to go. I mean, it just started this morning, so that is very impressive. Oh, look at that number go up. Wow. So the main difference between the Q1 Pro and the Q1 is its wireless capabilities. Right now, it's on a mini sale, I suppose. Biggest difference is the wireless, the Bluetooth ability. The second difference is the PC plate already installed in the keyboard instead of an aluminum plate. The third difference are the keycaps. So instead of the OSA profile PPT keycaps that you see on the Q1, we are now onto KSA profile keycaps that are also PP. So both high quality, just different profiles. You do get really cool colors though. So I have the black, but there's also a white version and a gray version, all of which have different colored keycaps, and they're so very dang cool looking. But you can also get bare bones. Wow, look at that. Try connecting it with my phone or my iPad. Bluetooth 5.1, use it with VIA. Let me try using it with VIA right now. You can't decide that I'm not connected. Okay, let's look it up. If VIA software cannot recognize your keyboard, reach out to support. Well, that's cool. Okay, so it doesn't work yet. Not on the list yet, but it will be when it's released. Everything will be fine. VIA is super easy to use. I love it. Right now, I'm sure I don't need to change anything. So you've got a knob. Ooh, volume up, volume down. There's 1000 hertz polling rate for wired mode, which is really good for gaming. But when you go wireless, you are down to 90 hertz. And 90 hertz is terrible, terribly slow. You can type on it, but you are not gaming on that thing. A flexible polycarbonate plate installed right into your keyboard. Don't have to do a thing. You also get PCB mount stabilizers, the same as the Q1. Hot swap, yes. I like the white version. The white version has that Mac aesthetic. Here are the main differences. Oh, the Q1 has a steel plate. If I wanted to buy, here's how I would do it. Go to this side here, and you can either choose to pledge $174 or more, which gets you the bare bones US layout. But if you want the full assembled version, you will pledge $194. You're gonna pledge the money first. So they're available in 3 colors, and you get to pick each one, and it comes with their corresponding keycaps. So you can't just like mix and match, but you can mix and match different switches to the different colors. And they'll start shipping around April 2023, which is in 3 months. I believe their shipping is not cheap. Depending on where you live, the shipping can cost quite a bit. I know for me, the shipping is, I think it's 20. As if you want to buy more, you can pledge $345 and you get 2 bare bones. So it's up to you what you want. They've done a ton of Kickstarters, so they're trustworthy. I've even bought from their Kickstarters a couple of times myself. So the Keychron Q1 Pro. The wireless works amazing. I was really surprised that I didn't feel any latency at all, and connecting is really easy. All you do is switch this to Bluetooth, switch it to Mac or whatever you're using your Bluetooth with, hold FN and 1 for 4 seconds, and then you should see it on your Bluetooth search devices, and click on that and boom, that is it. And it doesn't feel like there's any like typing latency. Even if I'm typing pretty fast, like I'm barely feeling any difference. This is a really awesome keyboard. I don't know why I would want Bluetooth. I never actually use Bluetooth unless it's on the go, but then this is a really heavy keyboard to take on the go anyways because it is made of aluminum. I've been using my iPad with my Razer Deathstalker V2 because it's much lighter weight. I mean, it's like 1/3 of the weight. It is TKL though, so it is big, but I can just stuff it into my backpack and that's it. I am not stuffing this into my backpack, and I don't know if any of you will either, but it's really cool if you're switching between your MacBook, your Mac, your iPad, and you can just go from one device to the other. That is really cool, and the wireless does last a really long time. It's got a big battery. I just love this part of it. It just looks really cool. The part where the Bluetooth connects to things. That's awesome. So don't block that. I'm impressed. I like it a lot. It is around $200 for the whole thing. And you might still want to do some modifications to your keyboard, but it's got nice pre-loop switches. You don't need to take anything apart unless you wanted to. It's got nice PPT keycaps, so you don't need to replace that unless you want to. But if you were to replace the whole thing with really nice switches and really nice keycaps as well, I mean, that price could go all the way up to like $400, $500. It really depends on what you want. But if I were to give this to somebody, they would love it, especially if they have never built their own custom keyboard and they have never lubed their own stabilizers. Like, they'll be perfectly fine with this. This is fine. Coming from the perspective of a normal person who has never used a custom keyboard before, this is awesome. And then coming from the perspective of someone who has been using a lot of custom mechanical keyboards, this is okay. This is Bluetooth. That makes it stand out instantly. Like, not much is gonna compete with this. It's Bluetooth, it's aluminum, it's custom. I can't name you any other custom keyboards that have wireless capabilities. And if I can, it hasn't come out yet. Leave a comment down below. Do you know any other wireless custom keyboards? And which switch did you like in this keyboard the best? Mine was Durock L series for sure. Anyways, check out the Kickstarter if you're interested in reading more about this keyboard. See you in the next one.